Howdy all, Chris Mystery Cleaning with the Far Coast once again. Here to talk money. So obviously we're coming into sort of the springtime now. I'm sure those of you that run businesses are sort of starting to see more inquiries coming in. And for those that are thinking about starting a business, it is a good sort of time to get names on the board, get people and customers onto your sheet. But I was asked recently about sort of pricing, and I've done a video in the past about pricing. It is about 3 years old. It is a bit out of date, but the principle is the same, and that is ultimately, they talk about how having a spread out round or a compact round, etc. And is it better to go for smaller jobs and lots of them, or one or two bigger jobs? So, as in anything, it's all about balance. It's not about saying, right, I'm only going to do big jobs and sod the smaller jobs. And it's not simply a case of saying I'm only going to concentrate on lots and lots of small jobs and sod the big ones off. At least for us, it's not. I will never say no to a job, providing I can adequately provide, I can adequately do the job safely. The customer is prepared to foot the bill, and we can fit it in. That is literally, I will never say no to a job if all three of those conditions are met. And you've got to view it like, if you can imagine a three-legged stool, right? And you're sat on this three-legged stool. If you remove one of those legs, you're going to either be extremely uncomfortable or end up on your backside. So the best thing is, like I say, you need to be able to meet those three criteria. Can you do the job safely? Is the customer going to pay? Can you fit it in? Okay, and that's the general gist. So with, for example, we've priced up a house, and it's a long way out of the way, to be honest with you. In the grand scheme of things, it's fairly out of the way. It takes 40 minutes to drive to this house. It takes probably somewhere in the region of between 25 minutes and 40 minutes to do the job. It is a house that's in the middle of the sticks. His nearest neighbour, get this, is 3 miles away. So he is in the boonies. He is literally, in the absolute arse end of nowhere. And there is MMFA all the way around that property. Miles and miles, we'll call. Okay, so the thing is you have to say to yourself, right, and he's asked me for a quote for window cleaning. And I've sat down and I've thought about it. And it's very easy to look at the job and say, that house is worth X. It's 25 minutes to clean the house, therefore it's 25 quid, for example. Right? That's how a lot of people operate. I look at time, access, fuck about factor. But the thing is that if you're going to give a price for something like that, and you've got to say to yourself, well, hang on a minute, right? He's 40 minutes away from my house. And I have this thing that I keep having to remind myself when it comes to quoting jobs. And that is, if the wheels are turning, you are not earning. So for example, if I sit in this van now and I turn the engine on, and I drive an hour to a job, you have to be thinking to yourself, great, how many houses or how many jobs or how many results could you have achieved in that 1 hour that you spent wasted on the way to this other job? So the job has to pay for itself, right? So simply turning around and saying, well, it's 25 quid for this house is not sufficient. Okay. I would normally charge about 30, I would charge 40 quid for this house normally. It has a glass shelter that comes out from the side of the house, and then it has, quite a lot of windows. I think I've counted them up. I think it's got something in the region of about 28 panes of glass of varying sizes. Okay, and then the glass shelter that comes out. It's a fair bit of work, right? One guy on his own, it'd probably take him about, anywhere from 25 to 40 minutes to do, not including his travel time. But in the travel time, let's do the maths, right? If you can say to yourself, right, well, you can do, you know, if you can do 4 houses an hour, that's 60 quid an hour ish, right? While you're driving to that job, that's 40 minutes. You could easily have done 2.5 houses, 3 houses in that time. So you've lost 45 quid on the way there. Then you've done the job, great. And then you've got to drive 40 minutes, 45 minutes back, great. So that's 6 houses you could have done. In the time it's taken you to do that one house, you could have easily done eight odd houses, something like that. So when you could have done 8 houses, but now you've only charged for that one. So how much wasted time is that costing you? You know, I don't necessarily subscribe to the idea that time is money, because if time was money, then just fucking turning up would be enough. You obviously have to achieve a result. And when you price a job, you have to say to yourself, right, I obviously am going to charge for achieving a result, but how much time is it going to take to achieve that result that justifies me getting paid? Okay. So anyway, long story short, I've charged this customer, wait for it, £96 to do this one house every 4 weeks, okay? And the reason that I've charged that much is because of the sheer fuckabout factor of having to get up, you get up in the morning, you get in your van, you drive 40 to 45 minutes to this house, you spend, let's say, 40 minutes doing that job, then you've got to drive your ass 40 minutes back. If you was to just strictly charge for that single house, you know what I mean, and say that job's worth 25 quid in itself, and only charge for the time that you're on site, that would be a mistake. And I can hear people saying already, oh, well, yeah, but you've got it, you should only be really working in a local area, local to you. That's certainly one way of thinking about it, but just think how much money you're leaving on the table, okay? And people would say, there's no way that someone would pay, realistically, 96 quid to have their windows done. It just depends on how big that customer's needs are. Give you a bit of perspective, this customer is not short of money, obviously, paying 96 quid a month for the window cleaning. He works from home, he is a multi-millionaire, really, and he claims it back through his business because he runs his business from that address. So the thing is, you've got to say to yourself, well, actually, you fulfill a need, you're not losing out, and the customer is getting the job done. And the problem that the customer has had in the past is finding window cleaners that see things that way and say, well, actually, yeah, I'll come out and give you a quote. But the problem is that a lot of these people think that a lot of these window cleaners that turn up are sort of saying to themselves, I could not possibly ask this customer to pay that amount of money to have the windows done. And that, in my eyes, I think is a mistake. If you ultimately put that to the customer has asked you to give a quote, you put the cost to them. Let them make the decision, right? If they say, oh, that's a bit steep, is that? And as the customer initially said, well, that is quite expensive, and he's not asking for a justification. And trust me, I don't feel obliged to give him one either. But I did say to the customer, I thought, because he was being polite with me and he was being, reasonable with me, let's have a discussion about it. And I basically said to him, well, the thing is that you are a long way out of my way. I'm happy to do the job for you. But if the van's moving, I'm in the time it takes me to drive to and from your house alone, I could have earned way more money than just your 25 quid. You know what I mean? And so it's lost time, it's fuel, it's wear and tear on the van, etc. Bottom line is, we're not in this area as a matter of course. So to put us in this area to do the job, it's going to have to be made to be worth our while. It's not really worth it otherwise. And he goes, yeah, okay, well, let me have a think about it. And usually when a customer says, let me have a think about it, that's code for, you're too expensive, get off my fucking property, kind of thing, right? But in this case, he was like, yeah, let me think about it. So he went away and he was like, yeah, no dramas, Chris, when can you fit us in? And I was like, right, well, fucking hell, fair play. you know. And ironically, about 3 miles down the road, we then picked up another house, which was even bigger, and we're charging them £216 every 4 weeks. Now these are exceptions to the rule, but we can do those two houses in a day. You know, two of us can do those two houses in a day and still be done for, for lunchtime, and have plenty of time to go and do things like, go and do more canvassing or stuff like that. So the thing is, if the job pays for it, then fine, it's not an issue. But just remember that if the wheels are turning, you're not earning. It just, people get very eaten up and they think, I've got to be doing something, I've got to be productive, I've got to be moving. And if you're cleaning windows, if what you get paid for is cleaning windows, then you sitting in the van, moving, driving between jobs, you're not earning. You're not earning at all. Okay. So when people turn around and say, well, would you rather these smaller jobs or the bigger jobs? I just simply put it that I don't really mind so long as the job pays for itself. Pays for itself, and obviously we make a profit. But ultimately, if those conditions are met, can I do the job safely? Is the customer prepared to pay? And have we got time and effort to do it? Those really are the only factors I think about when it comes to taking on a job. It's nice having compact work, but sometimes it's just as you're doing just as well. On the day that we do that massive house, for example, we could, if we wanted to, on the way back, we come back through junction 1 off the M55, and there's a couple of new estates popping up down there. So we're of the mindset where we say, right, well, actually, we'll do those two jobs and we'll go and canvass that massive estate, and then if we pick more jobs up on that day, then happy days. We can we can plan it and do things like that. So, but again, having compact round is not necessarily the number one priority in my mind. I would much rather do well-priced work, irrespective of where it is, than restrict yourself to a certain area and say, no, I don't operate outside that area. I just think opening your horizons a little bit more and just thinking along the lines of, productivity and profit is what you want to be looking at. And if the customer's prepared to pay it, and you solve all their pain points, I don't see what the issue is. So yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. Find customers that want to pay, that's what you want. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to cut away. I shall see you all in the next video. If you like the content that I put out, please like, share and subscribe as usual. So keep on keeping on. See you in the next one.